If you visited Housesteads Roman Fort on Hadrian's Wall, you've likely passed a rare piece of history with a fascinating backstory without even knowing it. Most visitors focus on the Roman legions, but nestled within the monumental masonry of the southern gateway is a building that has nothing to do with Rome. This is a 16th century bastle house, a fortified farmhouse built roughly 11 to 1200 years after the Roman army abandoned this fort in AD 411. It represents a transformation from a symbol of imperial order to a rugged, lawless stronghold. The first hint that something is amiss is the shape of the gatehouse. It's irregular and cramped, distinctly un-Roman. The 16th century settlers that built it were so few in number they couldn't defend a fort designed for 800 infantrymen, so instead they focused on part of it. This lawless no-man's land on the Anglo-Scottish border became known as the Marches, split into three distinct regions: West, East, and here at Housesteads being the Middle Marches. It became known for its rich, violent history and its dramatic landscape, with neither Scotland nor England wanting to take ownership for such a sparsely populated region, a likely hangover from the Romans militarizing it. It would become the Wild West of Great Britain, a safe haven for robbers, raiders, and thieves, and that's what led to the creation of bastles or fortified farmhouses, with the word being derived from the French word bastille, meaning fortress, stronghold, or fortified building. Bastles are only found in this region, and they were typically built in the late 16th and early 17th centuries to protect low-status farmsteads and their livestock from attack from raiders, known as Reivers. With walls over 1 metre thick, this wasn't just for structural support, it was for defence. The ground floor was used as a stable known as a byre. By locking their cattle behind these massive stone walls, the family protected their only source of wealth. An added benefit of having livestock beneath you was the rising body heat from the animals, a free source of central heating in this inhospitable windswept landscape. The living quarters are on the floor above, typically accessible by a removable ladder or steep stone staircase that could be easily defended. Raiders would often try to smoke the family out, so above doorways you would find quenching holes, an opening to pour water out of to put out fires that had been set. Interestingly, this bastle may not have been built by simple farmers, but by the Reivers themselves, as protection against legalized raider hunts known as hot trods. These were carried out by the victims of theft, attempting to reclaim what had been taken. It was a practice allowed by England and Scotland to deal with the lawless region, taking pressure off the local wardens. It often resulted in a cross-border chase that would have otherwise been seen as an act of war. It would become dubbed the fatal privilege, seeing posses of disgruntled farmers band together to take revenge on the robbers, often resulting in extreme violence. I'll go into hot trods and raiders in another video. Assuming this bastle was built by raiders and not simply acquired by other means, its location was no accident. This gate afforded incredible unobstructed views of the South Tyne Valley, allowing the inhabitants to spot a hot trod from miles away. But the Armstrongs who lived here did more than just watch the valley. They repurposed the entire 5-acre Roman fort as a secure corral. Here, in the ruins of a once great military base, they hid hundreds of head of stolen cattle and horses, protected by the original Roman curtain walls that still stood tall enough to deter a casual thief or farmer seeking revenge. Looking closely inside their bastle and you'll find a corn drying kiln inserted in the 18th century. It shows the moment Housesteads began to transition from a violent outlaw base to a more civilized upland farm. However, that peace was hard won. This area was so dangerous it was known as the home of the Busy Gap rogues. But who were these rogues, who defied the king, the church, and the city of Newcastle? They were a family of professional outlaws, whose very name was a brand of terror. In my next video, I'll dive into the dark legend of the Armstrong Mafia, the curse that followed them, their eventual violent fall, and a certain Armstrong descendant that stepped foot on the moon.